They say time heals all wounds, but they never tell you what it does to your dreams. Time doesn't wait. It doesn't pause when you're tired. It doesn't care about your story, your struggle, or your excuses. Time moves like fire. And if you're not burning with it, you're being burned by it. So here's the question you have to answer right now. Are you the master of your mind or the prisoner of your comfort? Because the truth most will never say out loud is this: excuses are seductive lies. They dress themselves as logic. They wear the mask of "I'll start tomorrow." They whisper in your ear when the alarm goes off at 5 a.m. You deserve rest. You've done enough. But enough is the word of the average. And if you want to become legendary, if you want to become the version of yourself you still fantasize about in silence, then you need to understand something that Napoleon Hill knew, that Zig Ziglar shouted from every stage, and that the greats lived with every breath. Discipline is not a habit. It is war. It is a war between the voice that says, "Stay in bed," and the whisper that says, "Get up one more rep." It is the battlefield where comfort and purpose collide. Look at Thomas Edison. 10,000 failed experiments. 10,000. He didn't fail because he lacked motivation. He failed because he had to. He had to chip away every lie, every wrong version, until the truth was all that remained. He didn't invent the light bulb. He disciplined himself into it. Think about that. Every failure was a sword stroke against mediocrity. And what about Lincoln? Rejected, defeated, forgotten. But he refused to let the world define him. He built his legacy not on speeches, but on the discipline to stand tall when the crowd left. He bled for his purpose when nobody clapped. And you right now, you've been taught to chase motivation, to wait for the mood to strike. But the mindset most will never master is this: you don't rise because you feel like it. You rise because you said you would. Because a promise to yourself is more sacred than applause. Because emotion is fleeting, but identity is forged. And identity? It is built brick by brick in the furnace of repetition. Discipline is not sexy. It's not Instagrammable. It's 5 a.m. wake-ups. It's cold showers. It's saying no when it would feel good to say yes. It's writing the page, lifting the weight, making the call when you'd rather do anything else. And that's why most never master it, because they want reward without resistance. They want the crown without the climb. But here's the truth they'll never tell you. Your future is being negotiated every time you hit snooze. Every time you say, "I'll do it tomorrow." You've just signed a contract with regret. Regret is the shadow that grows taller every time you shrink from discomfort. It is the ghost of the man or woman you were supposed to become. But here's the brutal beauty. You don't need a new plan. You don't need another podcast or self-help book. You need decisive, unshakable action. You need to become the type of person who acts without hesitation. Not when it's convenient, but especially when it's not. Because that is where discipline lives. Discipline isn't loud. It doesn't shout for attention. It doesn't post about itself. It is silent, ruthless, relentless. Like water cutting through stone, it doesn't ask permission, it just keeps coming. Elon Musk once said, "I work 100 hours a week so others can't compete." Think about that. He's not a genius because he's smarter than you. He's dangerous because he outlasts you. Because when you stop, he's still building. When you doubt, He's doubling down. Discipline is the weapon the elite use to destroy average. And most people never pick it up because it weighs more than comfort is willing to carry. But let me tell you something ancient kings, modern CEOs, and underground fighters all know. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is proof. Proof that you are exactly where growth begins. It's the friction that forges strength. It's the burn that tells you your muscles, your mind, your will, they're still alive. And if you run from it, if you numb it, if you avoid the tension, you kill your evolution. Excuses are soft. They feel like pillows, but they turn into prisons. Discipline is hard. It cuts like steel, but it becomes your freedom. The man who shows up tired wins. The woman who works in silence builds empires. The soul who trains when it's raining, when no one is watching, when the body begs to quit. That soul becomes immortal. Because in this life there are two choices. You can be remembered for your excuses or your execution. There is no middle ground. You think Edison was chasing passion when he stayed up for the 1,000th night? No, he was chasing results. And results require repetition. Not mood, not motivation. Repetition. The gym doesn't care how you feel. The business doesn't grow because you're inspired. The book doesn't write itself when you're in the zone. You grow, you build. You evolve by doing it anyway. Discipline is sacred. It is the contract between who you are and who you will become. Break that contract enough times, and eventually you stop believing in yourself at all. When you break discipline, it's not the world that punishes you. It's you. Every skipped workout, every delayed dream, every small compromise whispers, maybe I'm not who I thought I was, and that's the most dangerous belief on earth. Not that the world is hard, but that you are not enough to face it. But hear this and hear it with fire in your veins. You were not built for comfort. You were built to conquer. Discipline is your proof of belief, not in something outside of you, but in the God-like force within you. Abraham Lincoln failed in business, lost elections, buried his sweetheart, and was labeled a nobody. And still, he rose. Why? Because he refused to let circumstance be louder than commitment. You see, your goals don't care about your trauma. The world doesn't bend to your anxiety. The mission doesn't pause for your doubt. Discipline is not a response to ease. It is a rebellion against weakness. It is what makes you dangerous in a world of comfort seekers. While others binge, you build. While they scroll, you sculpt. While they make excuses, you make war with your inner coward. You want greatness? Then you have to bleed for it when no one is clapping. You have to show up when your confidence is shattered and your energy is dead. You have to become the type of person who is more committed to the process than the applause, because you will not always be motivated. Motivation is a guest, it leaves. Discipline is a resident, it stays. And every time you show up tired, every time you choose the hard thing, every time you override your feelings, you deposit power into your identity. You're not just working out, you're teaching your body. This is who I am now. You're not just waking up at 5 a.m. You're declaring to your soul. We don't wait for the world, we lead it. This is the mindset most will never master. To do what's necessary no matter how you feel. Because your feelings are liars. Your comfort is a thief. And your excuses? They are assassins dressed in self-care. You don't deserve a break until the mission is done. You don't take a day off from being elite. You are not here to fit in. You are here to shatter average, to crush what's comfortable, to rise when it hurts, to become someone your old self wouldn't even recognize. Listen carefully now, because this is where most people fall asleep right before the miracle happens. They commit halfway, grind a little, suffer a bit, and when it gets brutal, when the storm hits hardest, they back down. They whisper things like, maybe it's not meant for me. Maybe I wasn't built for this. Maybe I need to wait for the right time. But champions, real ones, don't wait for stars to align. They drag the stars into position with bloody hands. They don't hope for power. They forge it. You are not here to escape the storm. You are here to become it, because the world bows only to those who master one brutal truth. If you don't command your life, your weakness will. Every time you flinch, the old you wins. Every time you delay, your dream dies a little. Every time you lie to yourself, you sell your future for comfort. But every time you rise anyway, every time you show up shaky but certain, every time you move without permission from your emotions, you evolve. Discipline isn't just a habit. It's an identity. It says, I don't need easy. I need purpose. It says, I'd rather be exhausted chasing greatness than numb settling for mediocrity. You were born for more, but more requires cost. Edison failed 10,000 times and still lit the world. Musk was laughed out of meetings and still launched rockets. Carnegie was born in a one-room shack and still redefined leadership. They didn't wait. They built before they believed. They acted when no one clapped. They planted discipline and reaped empires. So now I ask you, will you keep running from pain? Or will you weaponize it? Will you stay in the loop of someday? Or will you burn the bridge to your excuses today? Because this is not about motivation anymore. It's not about hype. It's not about followers or trends or even success. This is about becoming the kind of soul who is feared by failure. Because failure knows you won't break, you'll build. You won't give in. You won't delay. You won't shrink to fit the old version of yourself. You will rise. And when they ask how you did it, you won't talk about luck or talent or privilege. You'll say one thing. I crushed excuses. I built discipline. I mastered the mindset most never touch. And that's what made me unstoppable.